Hello there, kumusta po kayo? How are you? And welcome to another edition of Paul the Guzman Presents Art. So first off, I just want to say thank you to some new subscribers who discovered my channel. It's so great to sort of encounter some new people who are interested in contemporary art and are able to give me some comments and some suggestions and also some feedback regarding my foray into YouTube and reporting on contemporary art. Well, it's not really reporting, but it's really more a matter for me to just go and have a dialogue about contemporary art. And of course, because I live here in Vancouver, in Canada, a lot of the contemporary art exhibitions that I tend to go to tend to be in this region, but I have plans next year, to go a bit more outside of the boundaries of Vancouver because I want to go and travel a little bit more because told myself I'm going to stay put until everybody has gotten all of their revenge travel out of their system, and then I can go and travel to other parts of the world. Hopefully I can go to Europe and perhaps even go to my native country of the Philippines, where I haven't been to since before the pandemic. I would also like to acknowledge that we are on the ancestral and unceded territories of the Musqueam, Squamish, and Tsleil-Waututh nations, which is commonly known as the City of Vancouver. And here in the City of Vancouver, on the east side of Vancouver, is a performance art venue called the Cultch, which stands for the Vancouver Eastside Cultural Center. And they're celebrating their 50th year this year, 2023. And the great thing about this performance art venue is that aside from actually doing performances they have plays, they have dramas, they have performance art, they also have an exhibition space. And every month they would have an opening for the gallery. And a few days ago, I went and saw the show at the Cultch. I attended the gallery opening and was able to talk with the artist briefly. So we're going to go inside and have a look at the work of Meg Shaw in the gallery at the Cultch. So we're just going to go in and have a look. Now, it's very easy to actually get to this gallery because the gallery, I'm going to have a lot of the information about this gallery in the description section. But all you have to do is come in and then ring that bell over there, and then they're going to let you in. So we're going to go inside and have a look. So normally, I do a little bit of a pan of the show, of the gallery, and then do a little bit of a description, and then we'll go and have a look and see what we can discern from the work, okay? So there's two parts to the gallery. There's this little alleyway here where some of the more intimate works are shown. And we're gonna go through it. I'm not sure if I can actually show the works to their best, sort of like, but I'll do what I can, okay? I'll do what I can. So Meg Shaw is a local artist whom I discovered about a couple of years ago. And basically sometimes you're just going through like artist buildings and stuff like that, and then you sort of like look at the art, you know what you're looking for, and then suddenly there's a new artist that pops up, and then you kind of like stop and have a look at the work. And that's what happened with Meg Shaw's work, is that I was in this artist building during some sort of like open house or something like that, because every Saturday there's an open house that happens in Vancouver. A lot of the artist studios tend to sort of like open their studios on a Saturday or the first Saturday of every month. So I went on one of those artist studios, and her name wasn't listed there because I think she was actually in the process of actually moving to another studio. So this is the bigger gallery, and we're just going to do a little bit of a pan of the entire gallery, and then I'm going to go and have a look at each and every one of these individual pieces, okay? So where was I? I was telling you about the studio, open studios over here in Vancouver on a first Saturday, and I discovered her work. And we were able to actually go and chat a little bit about her work. And I learned that she was working in computer animation because that's what her sort of like, I guess, undergrad degree was for. And for 15 years, she was working in computer animation. And after that, she decided to actually go and become a full-time artist. And that decision happened in 2020. So she's been doing her paintings since that time. I suppose she's been doing her paintings for quite a while because when you look at these paintings, there's a certain sort of sense of technical facility that's happening here. And also dealing with color is not easy, it's sort of deal with color, but she has a really good command of it. She knows what she wants to do and she just basically does it. So she has that certain facility that is born out of being a painter. Even though she was dealing with computer animation for a long time, I think that kind of like honed in a lot of the I guess the technical aspects of drawing and painting. And it's kind of interesting when I first saw the work. This is kind of like more my take on the work. And when I saw the works, I was kind of like thinking more to do with a lot of science fiction and a lot of fantasy. And when I was talking with her during the opening, she did actually verify that that is one of her interests. But I think she was actually more interested in also reading science fiction novels and fantasy as opposed to watching them. I'm not sure, I wasn't able to qualify that. But there is this sort of like eerie quality about these works. Like, for example, we're just going to go and do a little bit of a close-up on some of them. The one distinctive thing that I kind of notice about these works is that a lot of the faces are actually obscured. And when I started kind of looking at art historical movements, I came upon the movement called magic realism, which is a little bit different from magical realism because magical realism is really more of a literary trope than it is a visual artistic trope. Magic realism was formulated around, I think, the 1920s. I think it began in 1925. And there was this guy in Europe who coined the term magic realism. And it kind of like tends to distinguish itself from surrealism because surrealism is really more a movement that deals with psychoanalysis and dream theory, but magic realism has more to do with a more like a fantastical type of sensibility in terms of the aesthetics. And the works here pretty much spans about 2 years, from about 2021 to about 2023. And the nice thing about this work that I found, like specifically this work, kind of like intrigued me when I was looking at it because the title here, let's have a look at the title of this work, is called Aversion Therapy. And there are certain things about this work that kind of triggered me into sort of maybe interpreting it in trying to, well, you know what happens when you ask an artist to explain the work, they're usually not going to do it. I didn't ask her about this work specifically because I wanted to see what I come up with. Because on the lower right-hand side, you see that little sort of like sunbeam, sun rays. That is kind of like typically like a symbol for the Empire of Japan around the turn of the century till about World War II. And then over on the upper right hand side are these sort of like militaristic, I guess they're like boots or something like that. They're basically just wearing pants, and there's no clothing on the top. And then you have this, I guess, female-like person here on the left side, almost waiting. It's almost like she's a comfort woman for these sort of like marching soldiers. It's a narrative that I just kind of came up with because of symbolism of the sun rays in the bottom right hand side. I'm not sure about my interpretation of it, but I would really love to sort of like hear your interpretation of it if you have one. There's also a lot of really well rendered specimens of plants here. Like if we were to go over here and have a look at this, the title of this is called Fuckboy Drinks Alone. I just love that. Fuckboy Drinks Alone. And on the lower right hand side is this really well rendered, so like almost Dutch still life-esque of flowers. I think there might be daisies or something like that. I'm not really sure. I'm not a botanist. But it's kind of interesting to sort of see this work, a satire, and a lot of the works in the show are pretty much sort of, well, they're kind of all non-binary in a way, because you can't really see the faces of the people because they're obscured because of this type of magic realism. But at the same time, there's also this sense of maybe bordering on genderless. So she's kind of the artist is kind of dealing with those issues about androgyny and not having any gender. So at the same time, we're actually looking at this painting, which has a certain sort of like foreboding feeling about it, because that person on the right side, that sort of like white ghost apparition, almost feels like an intruder into the play space of this entire scene in the playground. And the artist did mention that she sometimes uses the likeness of people that she knows. Like she has 2 children and she has a lot of relatives. So there's a lot of that sort of personal effects that are coming into her paintings as part of her pictorial language. So we're just gonna go over here and have a look at this, because there's a little bit of a press release over here. Well, it's an artist statement anyways. And then what we're gonna do is do a little final pan of the show. And I think I'm gonna go and try and focus on, usually what I do at the very end of my video is that I kind of focus on some of the favorites that I have. There is this one piece that I really quite enjoy, which is this one. I was actually looking at that closely and intently at one point. And also, if you lasted this long, well, congratulations. I hope you actually enjoyed the video. And if you did, just just click the thumbs up button and that would be terrific. Also, if you wouldn't mind considering subscribing to the channel, that would be terrific. It's always great to sort of like encounter new people who are interested in contemporary art. And also I'm going to be putting in a lot of the information about the show in the description. I'm going to have the times that the gallery is open. I'm going to have the press release down there, a link to the artist's website. And so with that, I want to say thank you very much. Salamat po sa inyong lahat, which means thank you. And we will say farewells, and hopefully I will have another video for you next week. And on that note, thank you very much, and you have a pleasant day. Goodbye.